to you by Blurredography.
How did you fall into getting into JJK? Like, were you a fan beforehand? Did you just audition? Like, what was that story like when you getting from point A to point B with it?
Oh, sure. I had never heard of Jujutsu Kaisen before I received my audition. I had worked at the studio that localized it before, and so I was just on their mailing list for auditions that they thought I might be good for, and this one came my way, and I was like, okay, for an anime, okay, this girl looks kind of cool, and then I, did my little homework, read the wiki, some of it, got a feel for like who is this character, and then luckily the first 3 episodes of the sub were already out on Crunchyroll when those auditions went out, or at least came out to me. And so I watched the first 3 episodes, which is great since she shows up at the end of 2, and her first big episode is 3, and I was like, oh, yeah, she's cool. Oh, I like her. Oh no, I'm never gonna get this because I want it too much. And then I was wrong and I got it.
Now that you done that, have you read and caught up?
I have since read and caught up, and I'm fully in. And next season's gonna be crazy, and I both am looking forward to it and dreading it with all of my heart. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, Robert from Blurredography.
Hi, Robert.
Hello. You have a degree in biomedical engineering.
Yes.
What is it like being a forensic scientist, and how did you transition into voice acting?
Okay. So, I got my degree in biomedical engineering, but then I went off to grad school for acting. So I have an MFA in acting, and then after that, I worked a couple of jobs and then realized it was going to be a little tougher for me to find a day job. The usual actor day jobs were hard for me to find because I didn't have restaurant experience, I didn't have retail experience, and I couldn't make like a full-time income doing like tutoring. Like that was something I was doing while I was in school, was tutoring. And so instead I was like, okay, well, we'll use my other degree to get, to pay my rent, and I found this job as a forensic scientist, and that was essentially accident reconstruction. So let's say you were at a one of those big box stores, your Target, your Walmart, whatever, and let's say you slipped and fell. There was a puddle and it wasn't marked, and you slipped and fell, and maybe you hurt your knee and now you have to have knee surgery. You might choose to sue the big box store. And at that point, either your lawyer or their lawyer might have hired my former boss to be what's called an expert witness. And I was his assistant, so I did, all the research and the writing of reports and all that stuff. We're basically taking a look at what happened, trying to do any math or science that could help us prove, disprove, or help, more importantly, persuade a jury that either you were responsible for your own fault or they were responsible for you. Does that make sense? So I did a lot of premises liability, but I also did car accidents, a lot of interesting things. It was a really cool job, but not as cool as being an actor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm Q.
Hi.
So I have a question for my daughter actually. She asked, what project do you think changed your career?
Oh, I think it's Jujutsu Kaisen. Prior to Jujutsu Kaisen, I had been working, I think, in voiceover since about 2011. That was I think the first jobs that I booked. But I was doing voiceover and other acting work concurrently with that day job I was talking about. And so you can imagine if you have a 40-hour-a-week career, acting on the side is very much on the side. And so I just found ways to do it when I could, and I was slowly building up my voiceover resume. Jujutsu Kaisen was the first like high-profile role I'd ever had, and it put me like in, I guess, like the public eye in a way that I had never been before. So I had to learn very quickly how to navigate that. Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Alright, so your love of video games. What got you started off in that, and what's your favorite game to play right now?
Okay, my love of video games goes all the way back to, Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Tetris. I love Tetris. I love a puzzle game. I grew up on the original Nintendo, and when I was a kid, my brother and I would play, and then at some point, like, kind of transition where I was like, oh, he was the one who played video games, and then I just watched. So I would watch him play through all the Final Fantasy games, like all that stuff. And it wasn't until I was, out of college when I was like, no, I can be the one to play the video games. Also, I have no one else to play the video games for me to watch, so I better do it myself. But these days I've been playing, obviously, Genshin Impact.
Of course.
I stream it on Twitch. I just bought Tears of the Kingdom, and it has sat in my Switch waiting for me to play it for this whole 2 weeks or whatever.
You haven't touched it?
I haven't touched it.
Oh.
But I'm going to the Philippines on Tuesday, so don't you worry. I will touch it. Wait, no, that's out of context. No. Oh, don't clip that.
Hello.
Hi.
So yeah, like you said, you have your master's in acting. How do you find time to do voice acting and sketch comedy and Twitch and travel?
The answer is I don't. Things have fallen to the wayside. Like, my schedule has morphed over time, right? At one point, when around the time I was quitting that day job, when I quit my day job, it was at a time where I was making a gamble on my acting career, and at that point, I was deep into improv and sketch comedy. I was on a house team in LA for improv and for sketch, so I was doing comedy for 3-4 nights a week. You know what I mean? That's a lot of commitment.
It's a little known fact, but I'm actually a descendant of Chun-Li, an ancient female warrior.
Transition that to now, since the pandemic and since my voiceover career has taken off and I've started coming to conventions, I literally don't have time to be able to commit to those activities, which is sad because I miss doing that. I miss doing that so much. What I take heart in knowing that all those skills that I learned from my comedy days, if you will, not that they're gone, but from my comedy training, is that I can apply that to all of my acting. That has only made me a better actor in the years since I started taking all those classes. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris.
Hi.
In addition to being a volunteer here, I used to also be a personal injury lawyer.
Oh.
So
Okay. So you know.
Well, yeah. So you piqued my interest with saying that you were an accident reconstructionist and expert witness. But I was also looking at your IMDb, and you were in a show called Juvenile Justice.
Yeah, it was a K-drama.
K-drama, yeah. And your character's name was Sue Me.
Yes.
So I'm loving everything so far. But did your experience as an expert witness inform that role at all?
No, she was the receptionist at the. That was awesome. I forgot that her name was Sumi. Hi again.
Before I ask, are you an anime fan first?
Yeah.
All right. What's your big three?
I feel like the answer to that kind of changes over time. But today, let's say Sailor Moon, because you never forget your first. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And not including Jujutsu Kaisen. My third favorite one, I think, is Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. Yeah.
I'm mad you said that because I was thinking something very similar. What's your favorite arc in anime? Your favorite arc.
My favorite arc. Ooh, okay, that gets very specific. Ooh. Oh. Man. so hard. Well, that's a good question. Dang it. Okay, last question. I didn't include Jujutsu Kaisen this time. I want to include Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's that second arc in JJK season 1. So they're fighting the Kyoto school, but then all the curses come through and like wreck it up, and then they finish the arc with a baseball game. A filler that is literally canon. I love that.
Hello.
Hi.
So I know you do Sabine and Miraculous, and I cosplay Marinette.
Yes.
What is your favorite Sabine episode? Because I really enjoyed the mom and daughter day that they kind of sort of had.
Yeah. Actually, Jilin is my favorite Sabine episode that I've gotten to do. I jumped into Miraculous Ladybug super late. I was cast in the mid-4th season, because the original actress, Felice Sampler, passed away suddenly, and they were forced, they needed to recast the roles, have someone fill in her shoes, and I was selected. And it's something that I take great pride in. I hope I'm doing her justice. But thank you. Literally, I think the second episode that I got to record was Jilin, and what a gift to be able to do an episode that really delves into Sabine and who she is and what makes her tick. That's cool. I thought it was cool.
I really love the whole mother-daughter aspect. She understands her daughter's kind of flaky, but
She does, yeah.
She still just supports her.
She is an uber mom, and I hope to be half as good a mom as she is someday when I have kids.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You will be a super mom. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
I feel like I'm gonna do like this, right?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know if anybody has asked this question. I hope nobody has. But what was your experience with Jujutsu Kaisen? Because I know we got a chance to talk to all the other characters, and I would just love to know what your experience was for you.
Oh, just generally throughout recording the season and all that stuff.
Yeah. Score season 1, because you guys have already done 2, right? So
No.
So
No.
I don't know what everybody says 1 and 2, but what was your experience for season 1?
Oh yeah. So
for you.
We recorded all of season 1 remotely. Did I ever go in? I don't think I ever went into the studio for Jujutsu Kaisen season 1. So everything was done from my closet, my little padded closet at my place, and I was recording remotely with the engineer, and then the director was in a third location. But it was so cool to work. It was the first time I'd worked on a show that was simuldubbed. This was, this was a little bit spaced out further than Crunchyroll's or Funimation's simuldub schedule tends to be. But it was basically following that model, right, where the sub came out, and then a few weeks later the dub came out.
You get dubbed, right?
Yeah, all the shows I'd worked on prior to that were shows for, say, Netflix, and those you tend to. It's changing now, but back then, they all were you just recorded them in a batch. They had all the episodes done, and then you recorded the dub in a batch, and then it went off to Netflix for QA, all that stuff, and then a couple months after that, all of them dropped. Right. So that's the model I was used to working on. So getting to work on the show and being able to record it kind of in sync with the show coming out, being able to see the episode and then a week or two later record it and then see it come out a couple weeks after that was so cool. Was so cool because I really felt like I was able to grow with the show in a more natural way than when you kind of record it in a giant chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I loved it.